we know that we were blessed to get pregnant very quickly. But we did lose that first pregnancy quite early on. But it was still very challenging. And because, once you see those two lines, you start imagining things, right? You just start imagining what that's going to look like and how your life's going to change. I wear a lot of hats. So I am, I would say, a mom and a wife first. Those are my two most important roles. And then following that, I am a nutritionist. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a mom to three animals as well, 2 rescue dogs and a cat. And that's an important part of our lifestyle as well. We're big on rescue over here. So I can't leave them out. I do have a chromosome deficiency. So without going too much into it, it's basically just two of my chromosome pieces are broken. And if they match up with the wrong one of Greg's, then it more than likely would result in a miscarriage. And we knew this early on. So that was a part of our planning, just knowing that it might be a long journey. So we've had 3 in total, and we have 2 beautiful, healthy babies with us. So we're so grateful for that. But they were each a little bit different and a little bit harder, I would say, in their own way. The first one was the very first time that I was pregnant, and we lost it at about 7 weeks. And let me tell you, 7 weeks is plenty long enough to have a whole bunch of things planned in your mind for what life is going to look like with a new baby. So it was definitely a challenge. We knew that it was a possibility. We knew that, we got pregnant really quickly, and it was still very early in the pregnancy. Because we were living out in BC, we hadn't told anyone yet. It was easier to hide it from family because we weren't seeing them all the time. So nobody knew. And it was a very quick loss. So the second and third losses, they were different, first of all, because we were at home in Ontario with our families. So our families knew both times. We knew we had to be cautiously excited. My husband very much so was like, oh, I don't know if we should tell anybody. But I very much have the mindset of, regardless of what happens, we should celebrate what's happening right now, because this, that tiny little life inside deserved celebrating. That was very much how I felt about it. So we shared with our families both times. And so the second loss we had was still before my daughter was born. So we had 2 losses before Rayleigh was born. And the second one, I had a harder time understanding. I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, even if you don't understand it at the time. But I really, that one was tricky for me because it just felt right. It felt we were at home. We had, we were all set up. I had a great job. We were ready. And that we lost that one at about the same time. It was about 7.5 or 8 weeks in. The main difference being it felt right. Not that the first one didn't, but I knew I didn't want to have a baby out west. So we would have had to hustle to move home and, get things moving, where this was like, everything just felt good. Regardless of what we went through in those losses, I adored being pregnant. I adored every moment of it. We talked about having a third, and at one point, I think my husband even said to me, do you just want to be pregnant again, or do you actually want to have another baby? Because I just really, I had great pregnancies. I don't think it changed my outlook on pregnancy. It really is such a beautiful journey. And there was definitely a little bit more worry. We had a few tests done throughout that we probably wouldn't have done otherwise if I didn't have the chromosome deficiency. Yeah, I think it really just didn't, it didn't ruin the experience for me at all, aside from a little bit of extra worry. And I'm not typically a worrier, so that was weird for me. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that part of it. I definitely am a social person. I mean, I appreciate my time alone and you know, taking time for myself, but I do thrive on being with others. And so sharing was a natural thing for me, for sure. Like I said, just making other people feel like they weren't alone in turn made me feel like I wasn't alone, if that makes sense. Just knowing that I was relating to other people and other people were relating to me just by sharing and being an open book about the experience. So that would be the first thing for sure. And that was via social media. That was my blog. Just in talking to people, I would have friends reach out to me and say, my sister-in-law, my, you know, coworker, my neighbor just had a loss. Like, could she reach out to you? Absolutely. I would love to talk with her. I would love to just listen, like whatever they need, but encourage people to talk through it. The other thing, I swear by this book. I've recommended it to so many people, whether it's loss or infertility or both that you're struggling with, but it's called Spirit Babies. It's very much about belief and lots of spiritual things, but holy smokes, it spoke to me. And I have recommended it time and time again. I recommend it to clients. I recommend it to friends. It's just a really interesting read. And it truly helped me find peace in our kind of situation and where we were. The other thing I would say too, I was given some really beautiful gifts. The necklace I was given is from a place called Seeded Hope. She has, she puts different seeds for different things, and for loss for loss, it's a forget-me-not seed, and she makes them into necklaces, and it's into a little pendant. And a good friend of ours gave me one, and mine had 3 in it. It was after my last loss, but it was beautiful. It was one of the most emotional gifts that I had received. I guess everyone just kind of assumes it's easier for them because they aren't the ones who physically experience the loss. But I think they have sometimes an even harder role because they're going through the loss as well, but trying to support the partner that has physically experienced the loss. For them, I would definitely encourage reaching out for help. Again, like, you know, therapy, talking to people who have gone through it is just such a big one, because if you open yourself up, I know it can feel really vulnerable and uncomfortable. But if you're willing to open yourself up and share, even, you know, in your group of friends, family, church, if that's something you do, you will find people that have gone through the same thing. I can guarantee it. You will find other people. So just having that support of like-minded people, I think, would be really, really important. I think hope maybe means knowing or believing what's meant to happen will, and that you are right where you're supposed to be, and that I think I always believed that we would find our happy ending. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know if that looked like having our own children, or if it meant adopting, or if for whatever reason it meant having no children at all and just having our furry animals. I think that really helped, truly believing it wasn't going to end all doom and gloom. It wasn't going to end sadly. We weren't going to have a miscarriage, have a second miscarriage, have a third miscarriage, and then just be done and be sad about it. We were going to learn and grow from whatever our experience was. So I think just believing things will happen the way they should and the way they're meant to, and believing that we will have our happy ending. If I could offer some hope to parents in similar situations, I would tell them that they are absolutely not alone. I would tell them there are so many resources out there now, natural medicine being one of them. Things like acupuncture and reflexology and all of these amazing supplements that you can take to help get you where you need to be. There's testing available now. There's so many options, and it doesn't have to end sadly, even though they're feeling probably down right now if they've just experienced a loss or a couple losses, but they are strong enough to get through it because it's worth it. Oh my gosh, it's worth it. There's no doubt about it. It's worth it. And once you reach the end goal, whatever that may be for you, of course you don't forget about the journey. You never forget about the journey, but without a doubt, we would do it over and over in a heartbeat because of, what we've been blessed to have at the end of it. I think firstly, being okay with not being okay, I think is the big one. I am someone who is usually very positive, very happy, very energetic. So I think sometimes in your mind, you think it's not okay to not be that way because that's how people know you. And if you're the one lifting people up all the time, or, if they're counting on you to be their cheerleader, then sometimes it's not okay. Not necessarily not okay, but you just maybe don't want to show that side. I think asking for help is a really big one too. And that's something that my husband and I have definitely had to get more okay with. One of the things that we started doing when my son was born was having someone come and clean a house every 2 weeks. And I'm like, what kind of a mom and wife, and just like, why can't I clean my own house? I was on maternity leave at the time. Why can I not clean my own house? But I think knowing and accepting they're going to come and do a deep clean, they're going to take that burden off of me. And I can spend that time with my family, or I can, not have to worry about that. That made me feel very vulnerable, having to bring someone else in to do something that in my mind, I should be able to do on my own. It just gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a place where I could safely talk about my fears, or not that it wouldn't be safe to talk about with other people, but those are women that knew what I was going through, or women who had already done it, or men who had, we have multiple friends that we leaned on that had been through similar scenarios. And I just think having people to lean on, even if it's not the exact same situation, it's helpful. We have friends that adopted because they went through 5 years of infertility, and their journey ended in adoption. And even hearing their perspective, even though they have a different ending, they still have a beautiful family. And it's kind of nice to be able to intertwine everyone's experiences to support your own. I want these women to know that it's not their fault. It's not their fault, and that you can look back on all the things you did or didn't do, but it's not your fault. And it's worth persevering.